Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another one of my Future Fight Vanguard series. Today, we are going to be talking about the Pacifica deck. There's, I guess, like 7 isles, islas, whatever you would like to call them, of Bermuda, and today we're talking about the second one, which is Pacifica. So, let's get right into that. We're gonna flip our G zone here as usual. It gets kind of weird, like honestly, playtesting Bermuda decks and stuff like that because, um, usually on Cardfight area they have all the SPs. So if you ever like try to build it in real life, like you're like kind of dissatisfied unless you get the SPs. I can't really explain it, but yeah. Anyways, um, getting into right into Pacifica, we run 9 grade 3s. We run 3 of each of the different Pacificas, and I'll go through what they do here momentarily. But basically, the Pacifica deck is very focused around having 3 different named Pacificas in your hand at all times. So kind of plays around that, and that's why we run 3 of each. Planet Idle Pacifica is a break ride, and what Planet Idle Pacifica does is it has a limit break 4 ability, which is its break ride skill that says when a Bermuda Triangle rides this unit, you choose your Vanguard, and until the end of the turn it gets plus 10,000 power. And then when your Bermuda Triangle unit is returned from your hand to your rearguard circle, you get to search one Bermuda Triangle, call it to rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. And then this ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. So basically, whenever you bounce a unit, you can pretty much call any unit from your deck to the field. So it's not a bad break ride. I just think it's a little too slow to hold up in this meta, to be honest. So most of the time you just want to stride. Um, then it has a second ability that is an ability that activates when it's in the soul. You counterblast one and choose a unit named Top Idle Pacifica from your rearguard circle and put into your soul. And then this unit goes into your hand, and you get to choose up to one of your rearguards and bounce it to your hand. So not bad. It puts a Top Idle Pacifica in your soul so that you can be on. Basically, it's like when you go from Planet Idle Pacifica to Eternal Idle, it makes it so that you are cross-ridden, and also you get a grade 3 to your hand. And you also get to bounce one of your cards, like Maluca or something, just to use the ability. So not bad. Then we run 3 Eternal Idle Pacifica. What Eternal Idle Pacifica does is it also has 3 skills. The last skill on Planet Idle Pacifica was Lord, by the way, so pretty much if you don't have a unit with the same clan as this unit on the field, it can't attack. Whew. Sorry guys, pretty tired. It's like 4 in the morning right now. Alright, so Eternal Idle Pacifica limit break 4. When this unit attacks, you can counterblast 3, and then if you do, you choose up to 2 Bermuda Triangle rearguards, return them to your hand. Then you search for one Bermuda Triangle unit and call it to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. So this ability, like, in my opinion, you'll never really use it. Like, kind of like what I was saying before, you always just want to stride because counterblast 3 is like might have been good back in the day, but like this is a really heavy cost nowadays. Like, so you really don't have the resources to just willy-nilly counterblast 3. But also the reason that it serves is it is a different Pacifica, and it also can be cross-ridden when we have Top Idle Pacifica in the soul, and then it has Lord ability as well. Moving on to our last Pacifica type, Top Idle Pacifica, you pretty much never intentionally ride this one, in my opinion. It's pretty much just there to be another Pacifica name, slash go in the soul to make Eternal Idol cross-ridden, which for those of you who don't know what that means that your Vanguard will gain a continuous 2k on the Vanguard circle because of something else being in the soul, like a previous version of it. So just like Eternal Idol Pacifica says, if you have a unit with Top Idol Pacifica in your soul, this unit gets plus 2,000 power and it's continuous. So even on defensive turns, your Vanguard will be at 13k base. So pretty good. but I will go over this card skill in case you guys do happen to ride it. It has 3 abilities. The first one is a Vanguard ability that says, during your turn, if the number of Bermuda Triangle rearguards you have is 4 or more, this unit gets plus 3,000 power. So pretty simple. If you have a board, it gets 3,000, becomes 13k during your turn. And then at the beginning of your main phase, you have to soul charge 1 and draw a card, and then you choose a card from your hand and put it on the bottom of your deck. So that is a mandatory skill, so don't forget to do that, guys. And then it is a Mega Blast unit from the past, which means Mega Blast units are units that are Soul Blast 8 and Counter Blast 5. They were really like the ultimate cost back in the day, so that you could do something really good. But basically, this Mega Blast is on hit and says when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 8 and Counter Blast 5, and if you do, search your deck for 3 Bermuda Triangles and call them to a rearguard circle, so it was like a +3 from your deck, and back in the day that was really good when this came out, but not anymore, so try not to ever use that skill. I mean, you won't ever reach 8 soul in this deck, but yeah, don't try it. So then we run, for our grade 2s, we run 4 Friend of the Sun Maluca. So what Maluca does is, when this unit's returned from your hand to the rearguard circle, when this unit is returned to your hand from the rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Pacifica in its name, search your deck for 1 Pacifica card, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, then you may choose 3 cards with Pacifica in its card name from your hand, and reveal them. If you reveal 3 cards and all the cards have different names, then you countercharge 1, soul charge 1, and choose the unit, and it gets plus 5,000 power. So this goes back to what I was saying about having 3 different Pacificas in your hand at all times. So basically, whenever you bounce Maluca, she helps you search a Pacifica in case you don't have all 3 already. And you basically want to have like all 3 different versions in your hand at all times, so that you can use the stride effects and Maluca's effect to countercharge 1, soul charge 1, and give a unit plus 5k. Then we run 4 Spica. So what Spica does is, it is our if boosted Generation Break 1 does something card. So what Spica does is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if it is boosted, then you can counterblast 1, choose another rearguard, bounce it to your hand, and then choose a card from your hand and call it to rearguard circle, and that unit gets plus 3,000 power. So helps you with multi-attacks, bounces Maluca, calls it back. You can attack with Maluca, then attack with Spica and bounce Maluca, and Maluca's skill will proc searching a Pacifica for you, and then if you have 3, you can give like Spica 5k and be like 21, and then call Maluca back and it's 12, so makes really good numbers and stuff like that. Then we run 3 Magical Charge Vita. Vita is just really there in this deck to countercharge, to be honest. Nothing other than that, but it has 2 abilities. The first one is Harmony. Harmony is the keyword, or one of the keywords for, or the only keyword for Bermuda. And what Harmony does is, if you place something in the same column as a Harmony unit, everything in the same column vertically becomes Harmony state. And so if they have any effects regarding Harmony, then they would activate because it's in, like, whenever it's in the Harmony state. So this card does not have anything to do with Harmony, but it just happens to have Harmony because it is from the G-Break deck, pretty much. But its Generation Break 1 ability is Soul Loss 1 and bounce this unit to your hand. At the beginning of each turn's main phase, you can pay that cost, and then if you do, you choose up to 1 grade 1 or less from your hand, call it to rearguard circle, and if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, countercharge 1. So basically, if you have this on the field, like, then you bounce it when you stride, like, you'll always countercharge 1, so pretty good for resource management. Then we have 3 Shandi stride fodders, pretty self-explanatory. 4 Image Master Kukuri, these are our unflipped PG, also pretty self-explanatory. Then we run 4 Friend of the Moon Marina. I don't think I ever got to use this card in playtesting because I always get in my hand and I have to ride it, or it just never shows up. But its effect is pretty good. Like, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1 if you have a Pacifica in your Vanguard name, And then if you do, you choose one card with Pacifica from your hand, call it to rearguard circle, then you choose up to 2 of your units with Pacifica in their name, and they get plus 3,000 power. And if you chose 2 units with Pacifica in its name, you draw a card. So the thing that makes Marina useful is like when you go into stuff like Olivia, or the things that call things during the battle phase, you can like call Marina, and it gets around Olivia's whole like having to put one in the front row and having to put one in the back row, because you can put one in the front row on the right side and Maluca or Marina in the left side back row, and then call something in front of it. So it's pretty good in that respect. And then you can give 3k to 2 Pacificas and draw a card, so pretty good. Then we run 2 Secret Smile Pumo. The reason that we run Pumo, honestly, is because we bounce a lot of cards, so we want to be able to like call some cards defensively, and also it just becomes a 10k shield if you call something. So pretty solid card there. Then we have 1 Friend of the Stars Mimosa. This is the new Pacifica starter from this set. And its ability is when this unit is returned to your hand from the rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Pacifica in its name, you may counterblast 1. And if you do, you reveal 7 cards from the top of your deck, put up to 3 cards with Pacifica with different names into your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. So pretty good card. Like if you happen to check top 7 and all your Pacificas are there, you can just add 3 copies of Pacifica like right off the bat to your hand. So that is a lot for you. Then we run 8 vanilla crit triggers. Nothing to say about that really. 4 Fundy, which is our Margot clone draw trigger, gives 3k to a Bermuda unit for shoving into the soul. And then we run 4 Happy Rune Sandy, which is our Fighters Collection heal trigger that will let us discard 1 and draw 1 when we use Sandy, the new G Guardian. So moving into the G zone, we have 2 Fantastic Passion Pacifica. This is our new Pacifica Stride that came out of the set, and what it does is when this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1 and reveal 3 Pacificas from your hand. And if you do, you return all your rearguards to your hand, choose up to 5 cards with Pacifica in their names from your hand and call them to rearguard circle, and then they get plus 5,000 power, and they can attack from the back row. So pretty solid card, honestly. It's kind of like this deck's own version of like Olivia. Like, I don't know, pretty good card. Then we run 4 Twinkle Happiness Pacifica. So what Twinkle Happiness Pacifica does is counterblast 1 and flip a Twinkle Happiness Pacifica from your G zone face up. If you have a heart card with Pacifica in its name, choose one of your rearguards and bounce it to your hand. Then if you return a card, you search your deck for a Pacifica card, put it into your hand, and then if you may choose 3 Pacifica cards from your hand and reveal them. If you reveal 3 different cards with different names with Pacifica in the name, then this unit gets plus 1 critical. So pretty good first stride. Like I said right off the bat, if you have the 3 Pacificas, like it's great that you do, because you can start activating effects like these to have your Vanguard get plus 1k crit or plus 1 critical. So pretty pressuring to your opponent in the early turn. Then we have 1 Angie, pretty much for the Link Joker matchup. I think Angie's too good of a card to just not run completely, unless your deck can somehow deal with that. But Generation Break 2, counterblast 2, and choose a card from your G zone, turn it face up. Choose any number of cards on any opponent's or any fighter's circle other than Vanguard circle and return them to the hand. This unit gets plus 5,000 power for every card returned to the hand. And then if you return 5 or more, you draw a card. And if you return 7 or more, it gets plus 1 drive. So what this means is that you want to ideally return your whole board to your hand and your opponent, some of your opponent's cards, at least 2, so that you can get the plus 1 drive check. Yeah, but solid card overall. Like, pretty much only using the Link Joker matchup because that deck screws this deck. Then we have 1 GB08 Festal Finale Final Priscilla. It's not that great in my opinion, like only because of one reason, like its ability activating at the end of the battle instead of at the beginning. It would be a lot better if it was the other way around. But at the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard, you can discard a card from your hand, and then you return all your rearguards to your hand, call up to 5 cards from your hand, and they get plus 5,000 power. So not bad at all, but not necessarily one of the best GB8s either. Then we run 4 Olivia, and this is like what I was talking about before. Like Olivia's skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if the number of cards in your G zone is 1 or more, the number of face-up cards in your G zone. So basically, it's a Generation Break 2 ability before Generation Break 2 was a thing. Then you can counterblast 1 and choose a face down Olivia from your G zone and turn it face up. And then if you do, you choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and then if all the chosen units have different card names, you get to return them to your hand, and then if the number of cards that you return is 3 or more, choose up to 2 cards from your hand and call 1 to front row and 1 to back row. And this unit gets +1 critical. So this is what I was talking about with the critical pressure on your opponent. And then as well, like you're able to just bounce a lot of cards and get around it by calling Marina and something else, because Marina will be able to call something. So yeah, pretty solid card. Then we only run 4 G Guardians. I wanted to run 5, but honestly, like, I didn't find the space because I wanted to run all of these, and all of these have a significant purpose. So we do run 1 Sandy. It is our flip G Guard from the Fighters Collection. When this card's placed on Guardian Circle, we can flip a card in our G zone, and then if we do, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield for every 2 cards in our hand, and then if you counterblast 1, it gets another 5,000 shield. So I think that this G Guardian is one of the best G Guardians in the game. Defensively, it can make for very big guard columns, especially against like things that have guard restrict. It's pretty good. Then we have Sailor's Medley Nasha. So what Nasha does is when this unit is placed on guard circle, we can choose a card from our hand, reveal it, and then if we have a unit with the same grade as this card, then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So pretty basic 31k shield, nothing special really. Then we run Highest Society Citron. So when this card is placed on guard circle, we can choose a grade 1 or greater from our hand and call it to rear guard circle. So we can, like, let's say call a Maluca if we're intending on bouncing it next turn. And then this unit gets plus 10,000 shield, so it's a basic 36k guard. Nothing really that special about that either. And then we have 1 Hand-in-Hand Leona. What Hand-in-Hand Leona does is when it's placed on the guard circle, we can choose one of our rear guards and return it to our hand. Then we choose a card from our hand mandatorily and call it to Guardian Circle. And then if the unit has the same name as the unit that we bounce, then the unit called gets plus 5,000 power. So if you bounce a grade 3 and call that grade 3 to the Guardian Circle, then it will be a 5k shield and it'll be 31. However, if you do it with like a grade 1 or 2, it'll be a 36k shield, and then if you do it with a grade 0, it'll be a 41k shield. So Leona can be very strong in different situations, just all depending on what you need from her really. But moving right into the games, since we are done with that. Waiting on our card fight area to open up here shortly. Alright, so our card fight area is back open, and we're gonna load up Pacifica Game 1. Looks like first game we are playing against Chaos Rooker. We do not have a grade 1 in our hand, so that's kind of unfortunate. We have to G-assist right off the bat. I guess it's just like the price that comes with running like an awkward lineup. So we do get rid of 2 of our cards, and then the new Pacifica, because I don't predict that we're going to make it there against this matchup. So I do like choose to rush him, and we go 9-9, and then we attack with Vanguard, and he heals out. So he's at 3 damage. He rides 13, we no guard. And then we ride Pacifica at the beginning of the main phase. We soul soul charge 1, draw 1, put 1 to the bottom. And then we attack him for 9, and then we attack for 15, and he no guards. I don't know why, but then we double crit him. And yeah, and then he just quits the game. I'm not very sure like why he no guarded there. Especially looking at his hand after, like during, I thought that he just had a bunch of useless cards in his hand, but maybe he just didn't want to. There's some people like when they play that they don't want to throw down cards in the early game really badly, and sometimes that backfires on them. But yeah. Second game looks like we're playing against Luard. We're starting off, and we actually don't have a grade 2 this game, so that's a thing. He checks the heal trigger, and we take both damages. We're able to just draw grade 2, fortunately. But when we hit him, he hits a draw trigger, so we're already in a pretty bad spot in this game because he's checking really good triggers, and we're also at 4 damage, so we ride to grade 3, we play a grade 2 so we can exert a little pressure ourselves. Then we attack with 9 first so that he doesn't check a trigger and get out of it. And then we check a critical so we even up the damage there. However, he does get to stride first with Luard, and he's using Luard's stride skill to get rid of 1 and call 2. Then he soul lost 1 with Swordbreaker and goes for his grade 3 searcher. And then he uses the Aura Guides Are Damned skill, and he reveals 2 Belial Owls. So he retires both of our cards, unfortunately. Then he plays Fadla, calling 2 Curse Side Raven. So he's pretty much using like the loot build and going for like a really strong turn here. I guess as strong of a turn as he can pretty much go for here. And he also plays Kafir, which is interesting because he has to have a Cleric Sword Dragon in his card name to use that, and I don't think people realize that a lot. He also plays Connell, which is an interesting tech choice for Luard, but I don't think it's a bad decision. Nonetheless, like when you're playing against bad matchups, probably. So he plays Abyssal Owl, checks top 7, and he's basically just yeah, he like shuffled and then used Abyssal Owl, so he wasn't supposed to do that, but I guess I can't even say it's all the same, but I don't even know what his checks and stuff like that would have been, so it's not like I can really blame it or whatever. But he attacks for 29, and I G-guard him. I had to PG the rear guard because it was way too big. So 3 to pass him. He checks a critical trigger, all Vanguard, a stand trigger, all to rear guard. And then we're forced to take his rear guard because he hit a stand trigger, and it was just a little too massive for us to guard. But yeah, moving into our game 3 here. Alright, so we have Pacifica game 3. This is our final game. Looks like we're playing against Narukami. So I ride Marina. Like I said, I always get Marina and ride it, or it just never comes around. We do check a critical as our damage tag, and he does as well. He rides, and then we take a damage, so we're not really like critting each other or anything like that, so it doesn't seem like a big deal at the point. But he does heal, but he doesn't heal because we're both equal damage, or to be more specific, when he checks his heal, he's at 1 and I'm at 2, so he doesn't heal. But he does ride Sparking and go for the stride. And he decides to go into Voltage, and we decide, I probably like honestly should have no guarded here, just to keep resources in my hand, but I did want to bounce, and then I used Mimosa's skill to go for the top 7 check. And unfortunately, we didn't get any Pacificas off of that, so that kind of sucked. But we did 2 to pass him, and he didn't get it, so it was worth it in the end, I guess. We do choose to stride, and we go into Twinkle Happiness Pacifica. We play Maluca, and we're using Twinkle Happiness skill to bounce and flip, and then we search a Pacifica card. We search Planet Idol. And then we use Maluca's skill to search Eternal Idol, and then we reveal 3 Pacificas, give our Vanguard plus 5k, and countercharge 1, soul charge 1. And the card that we soul charged was a Marina, hence another reason why it never comes up, because we damaged 1, rode 1, and all that stuff. So we attack because we don't really want to play any unnecessary cards against Narukami, so we didn't have any big plays to make there, so we just did it that way. He does just take it, and he strides. So right here he goes into Dragonic Kaiser Warning, which is kind of awkward. Like, I don't know why he runs that card in Sparking. But he actually changes his stride into Voltec Zapper. Makes me bind 1 from my drop zone. Now I have 2 bound. So it makes me bind 3 total. And that's like the good thing about the new Narukami, like you don't have to have a field for them to affect you as regularly as before. But he attacks for 36, we no guard. And he doesn't check any triggers, thankfully for us. So then he just attacks for 16 and we're able to guard it. We do stride come our turn. And then we go into Fantastic Passion Pacifica. We play a bunch of cards from our hand just so that we can get some things going here. So we attack for 13, and then we attack with Fantastic Passion Pacifica, counterboss 1 and reveal 3, and then we bounce all of our cards to our hand. And we can call up to 5 cards with Pacifica in its name. So we decide to call all 3 cards with Pacifica, and then we use Maluca twice, which I didn't even think about the fact that once you call like the once you use Maluca, like, and you place down the Pacificas, like you don't have the Pacificas to reveal anymore. So I actually didn't think about that small fact. But he does check a heal trigger and heal. Then we attack him for 16 and then 21, and then he no guards the 21. So moving into his turn, he strides into, this is V-Buster, so he makes us get rid of cards, and then he chain bolts as well as Hard Rod Draco Kid, just making us get rid of pretty much all the cards in our drop zone. And then he V-Busters, and then he just like played over this one, and I didn't really realize that first. That's why I was asking him, but yeah, he couldn't use the stand trigger skill because V-Buster just makes you bind like straight from the field. Like a lot of people don't realize that V-Buster doesn't retire bind. It just binds, so if you have like the stand trigger in the field and you use V-Buster, like the stand trigger doesn't proc off of V-Buster. But yeah, he does counterboss 1 for this, so this can gain +2 for every card in my bind zone, which is quite a lot at this point. Um, so he's preparing to attack. He attacks us for 31 first with an extra crit and a drive check. We PG it because clearly we don't want to lose. But he checks 4 cards that are non-triggers, so I wouldn't have lost. So we just take the other 2 attacks because there's no point in guarding them. They're pretty massive. Then we stride into Olivia. So then we play Pacifica, and we just play like full board just cause. We attack for 16, and he does not have the G-Guard in his hand, so he cannot disrupt our field. We attack for 15, bounce and call, and gets 3k. Then we attack for 12, and then we attack for 26 using Olivia's skill to bounce all of our cards. And or we don't choose to bounce everything. We just choose to bounce 4 and call 2. And then we use Maluca's skill to search out to thin our deck. So he PG'd, we check 1 Maluca, we check a crit trigger, putting it all to Pacifica. And then we attack and bounce, and we end up getting rid of his whole hand, and he draws a crit trigger. So he just decides to use Hard Rod to make us bind 1 from the drop zone. And then he uses his starter, and I don't think he realized that we choose, so I got rid of that draw trigger. And then uses the stand trigger ability and gets a grade 1. So at 17 we guard with a 10, and then he attacks us for essentially 16, and we just PG it. He does get a stand trigger, and he would have healed had he been on a stride, but he does not heal because he drove check 3 instead of 2. I guess he wasn't really paying attention, but he has to put it back in shuffle now, which honestly was what he needed because he would have 6 damage healed. So we Vita skilled to countercharge 1 like I was saying before. So then we call a board and we attack, and he takes it, and that is just good game for him because he could not like withstand the assault that was coming for that turn. But yeah, that has been the Pacifica video from our new Prismatic Diva set. I hope you guys enjoyed the Future Fight. If you enjoyed it, leave me a like, and check out all of our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. And with that being said, this has been Josh, and I'll see you guys on the next video.